Alright folks, right now I'm going to try to deconstruct this generative ambient guitar-based loop that's going on here. So what's happening is there's a very dynamic, moving, soundscape kind of thing happening. And I believe this is all set up so that you won't really ever hear the same sounds twice. You won't hear the same layering twice. And I find it pleasing to listen to for very long periods of time because of that. So I'm gonna walk through how I make it that way, or how I attempt to make it that way. So what you're hearing is the final output. I'm gonna start with just the dry boomerang loops that are in the front of the board. So I'm gonna turn everything off. So this will be it. And we're not hearing anything right now because I am doing this trick where I gate this boomerang loop input, which I should say is at the very front of my pedal board. It is the first pedal, really. But then the volume on the preamp here is being modulated by this 8-step mixer, which has got 2 of the 8 steps up. Okay, so there's one that's up. So now it's gonna open up a little bit. And then it is gone now because it went to one that's down. So those are the ghosts in the preamp. I'm going to make sure that it's just on. So now it's just letting the full boomerang loop through. So now that you're hearing like actual guitar. I have 3 loops here, 3 layers on the boomerang going. So I'm gonna turn off. This was the first one I recorded. So it's just a lot of that kind of stuff. And the second, I'll turn that one off. The second loop here, I think is more higher up stuff. Oh, there's some slide playing too. Very sparse, as always. And like I say, I've said a lot before, when I recorded this, I was hearing the effects set in a certain way. I was responding to the way the board was set at the time. So I was not just sitting there playing this and hearing this. But this is what ended up getting recorded as I was listening. Got some noise in there. Anyway, so that's one. There's some other random stuff that goes along. I think each of these loops might be longer than 5 minutes, but they're not the same length. And the point there is for them to be asynchronous, so they'll never land on top of each other the same way. And then this third loop, I believe, is a little shorter, and I don't remember what kind of textures I put into it. Well, I recorded this today. It's more chord movement kind of stuff. But obviously I can just play on all of them, and we'll just hear this kind of random jumble of sound. That's like sort of musical. So I'll just let this play for a little bit and see what it sounds like. Because actually this is something I never really hear. Is just the dry loops playing together. See, that's cool. So these 3 asynchronous loops, but they're never going to line up the same way again. I want to hear those other loops come back around a little bit. There we go. All right, so that's what's feeding this entire thing. That's what's generating the sound source. So then the next thing that happens is we go into this preamp, and like I said, I'm ramping the volume of it. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to hear the loop all the time. I want to make space for a bunch of these effects to do things. And if there's just always notes playing and always chords happening, you're not going to be able to hear a lot. Or it's going to get overwhelming. It's going to be too much. So one of the ways that I fill up a gap like this, so in the final output, my dry is not heard. But what you do hear is the blooper doing an octave down reverse delay kind of thing based on that loop. So I'll let you hear the dry, which whenever the 8-step wants to allow sound through, we'll hear it. But then a little bit later, we'll hear blooper do an octave down reverse version of it. So here it's open for a little bit. So we got that. And now we're just hearing it reversed in blooper now. So already we're filling up the space like a little bit. So that's cool. It should come around in blooper. I hear it. There it is. So already it's just kind of some interesting, unpredictable moments, because we're only hearing slices of the boomerang loop, and then layered on top of a octave down reverse version of itself. So that's basically one layer of this. This other layer is the more interesting part, and it's the one that utilizes this secret pedal here, which is, I'll just say for this video, it's the Old Blood Noise XS version 2. Okay. This is what I have it sounding like. So what's happening here is the output of preamp is being sent to superego plus, but I'm not killing my dry there at all. I'm not killing my dry here all the way. So I'm producing a octave down pad based on that output, and I'm letting the dry through a little bit, and then we're going into this pedal, the new Old Blood Noise pedal, and I have it in a parallel mode, so I can do a distorted signal as well as a modulated signal in parallel. I have the distorted one very low, and the modulated one very high. And then I use the matrise to route that signal to the gen loss here, which is ramping low pass. So that's why you're hearing it fade in and out over time. So you combine that layer with the blooper layer, and this is what you get there. So that's that. And then of course we go to the iridium up there, the amp, and the compressor's doing a decent amount of work here. It's clamping down pretty good on stuff. But then we get the microcosm involved. And I'm in Mosaic, apparently Mosaic C? But a very long time. So we'll start hearing its contributions. Yeah, there it is. So the timing of it kind of fills in these gaps too. So we still have a pretty dynamic sound here, but there's multiple layers that are kind of like moving in and out now. And everything is based on a random opening of the preamp by the 8-step. Yeah, so the microcosm is doing too much there. Feels pretty good. And then we had the polymoon, which is doing a stereo flange modulation and a little bit of clean ping pong delay, so I'll turn that on. I mean, that sounds so good. And the last thing is the Cxm Reverb, which I have in lo-fi mode with a pretty, so max mids decay. So basically an infinite hall reverb. So here's what that sounds like. So you can hear that kind of pad under everything, the reverb trail. And then that's it. That's how this one works. So the layers that are going on are the microcosm layer, which is delayed from everything else. We have the blooper layer, which is delayed from the main loop because it's doing an octave down reverse. And then we have the superego pad layer, which carries the dry through to the XS V2, which from there I get a parallel, clean, modulated, and incredibly distorted sound. And I have a distorted sound very low. That goes into the gen loss, which is giving some modulation and some low pass filtering. And then on to all the stereo fun stuff. Not bad. I like it. How's that, folks? How's that for a little explanation? What's up, Kythric? There we go. Hopefully that makes kind of sense. Don't worry, Kythric, I recorded it. That was a recording. I want to get in the habit of doing that. Of like, one, you know, because I just finished recording this loop. I want to make a habit of like breaking it down.
That didn't sound for shit, did it?